Welcome to the Gospel According to podcast, the first and only podcast looking at the intersection of pop culture and the Christian faith. My name is Dan Ulrich, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host. You may know him as the 1998 Chubby Bunny Northeast Regional Champion. That is Dave Hallahan. Welcome to the pod, Dave.
Good to be here for show. I peaked at 11 years old. That was the height of my fame, winning Chubby Bunny. I do have a large mouth, and I feel like I could fit a lot of marshmallows in there. But truth be told,
those of you that are watching the pod, you can see Dave's large mouth right now.
Truth be told, I don't have any memory of actually ever playing Chubby Bunny.
Oh, no.
I've seen people play. Like, I understand it, but I don't
Well,
think I've played.
For those of you that don't understand it, this is one of those things before, like, there was meme culture or social media. There would just, like, be rumors that were passed around. Did you ever hear the Chubby Bunny rumor?
Like that people died?
Yeah, like, people died from it, so it's like, oh, we can't play that game anymore. It was just like this perpetually, and then but the game was, you would get a lineup of people, and you'd start with one marshmallow, like a regular size marshmallow, or like Easter time, we would play with Peeps. You put a marshmallow in your mouth, and then you'd have to say the words Chubby Bunny. And you'd have to be able to hear you say Chubby Bunny. Then you would go to 2 marshmallows, 3 marshmallows. If you couldn't say it or you spit it out, you were out, and it would keep going until there was only 2 people left. Then the person that could hold the most amount of marshmallows in their mouth, these things that could easily clog your esophagus, but shove as many in your mouth as possible, and then still be able to say Chubby Bunny without spitting them out. You weren't allowed to chew them at all. That person would win. But we're not allowed to play that game anymore.
Chubby Bunny.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama. Can't play that game anymore.
Yeah, it's Michelle Obama made us play healthier. We had to play with healthier foods.
With broccolis. Chubby broccoli.
It's too many syllables.
But anyway, this episode is the gospel according to what, Dave?
Youth group game.
That's right. And this episode is sponsored by
Monster.
The Premier
we finally did it?
Nope, we did not.
We didn't secure the Monster bag.
I've slid into their DM so many times, but I'm officially I'm leaving that. If you want to come, you have to pursue me now, Monster.
Yes.
I'm done tracking you down, trying to get you. But we are being sponsored this week by the premier place for you to get your youth group games. That is Download Youth Ministry.
Check out Download Youth Ministry, downloadyouthministry.com. But not just your youth group games. Games, you can get them there. But listen, I don't think this is exactly what they exist for, but every youth pastor has been in the moment where, oh crap, I don't have a lesson ready, need something. They have some lessons that are up there, and you can always take those and then contextualize it for your students in your environment. So plenty of stuff out there on Download Youth Ministry to help you.
And you might say, Dave, I can't afford that. How am I going to get this?
Start a GoFundMe. No, that wasn't. I feel like that was not the right answer.
No, we are going to give everybody
that's
three games, 3 awesome youth group games that you can check out on our socials. There'll be a link that you can click on that, and it's going to go to there, and there's going to be a bundle that's free for everybody. But not only that, there's going to be a chance for you to win $75. We're going to give away to 2 listeners $75 worth of Download Youth Ministries games, lessons, everything that they have there on the site. You'll get a gift certificate for that. So check out our socials on how you can sign up and be a part of that. And thank you, DYM, for sponsoring this game.
Yeah, shout out DYM. And again, every listener, you're going to get a 3-game bundle. 2 listeners. How are you going to win, you're asking? Are we just going to track you down, knock on your door? No, we're not going to do that. But there will be a post about the giveaway with instructions like that. Make sure you're following us and Download YM on Instagram. And there will be some bonus entries, ways that you can shore up your chance of getting that $75 perk.
So check us out. So this is the gospel according to youth group games. If you've been a listener, you know that Dave and I were both youth pastors. I'm still in youth ministry. Dave retired from that. He's lame.
Hang
But
them up.
but why do you think that youth group games, Dave, are so gross, epic, memorable, dangerous, creative? Why is youth group games a thing?
Man, it very much is. The why. I mean, you just get a bunch of like rowdy, uh, 11 to 17, 18-year olds together,
Mm-hmm.
and those competitive juices start flowing, and just like, and oh, also there's our table of sugary snacks and Mountain Dew. You're And then like on like retreats and stuff, you're up all night and like that. It's just pure. The whole environment is just like pure adrenaline, just mixed with sugar and hormones, and it's just the perfect environment. And then you have like, and this is throw no shade at youth pastors, speaking about myself very much included,
Right.
like emotionally and mentally stunted men or women leading the charge. And it's
Yes.
like, what are all the things that I wish, like, this wasn't that crazy, but I think your youth group might have participated, but we did a dress up for Halloween. We did a Halloween dodgeball party where you had to
Right.
dress up for the, and I just was like, it would be funny to see teenagers in costume throwing stuff at each other. That was the genesis of the idea. Was
Yeah.
like, this is something I would like to see happen. And so then I just made it happen because
Right.
I was in charge. So I think it's just the very conducive environment for bad ideas.
Yeah, and I think the idea that most, and again, not all, we brought this up with the gospel of technology, listen to it, but most youth leaders are young adults, and so there's kind of, like you said, the ideas of what is safe or practical or ethical as far as playing things might not be completely thought out. And a lot of times the youth ministry is kind of off to its side. It's in the
Right.
youth room, it's in the youth group, and it's unsupervised by the elders of the church. Or I don't know. I mean, in my case, I don't know if there was one time in 7 years being a youth pastor that the senior pastor came to youth group
Yeah, that's true.
or was even around during that
Right.
to have an idea of what was going on in our youth center. And like you said, kind of those things being thrown around, trying to one up one another. You're doing this week after week after week, so it's not like you're just having one event. And I think ultimately too, there's a lack of resources.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
about a lot of youth groups budgets are, so it's not like, oh, we'll just go on the zip line today, or we'll just go,
Right.
play in our, manicured soccer field. Or if that was like, okay, I have these, things I found at the dollar
I
store.
have a trash can and a bunch of kids with two arms.
Yeah,
We could try to pull each other into it.
I think that would be great. And so that kind of thing. And a lot of it, I think the epicness of it is, I've put out in youth group memes so many times of like, what happened? What is something you remember? And so many times are like, I'll get 15 comments of this kid's foot went through the wall. And so again, like we're doing these things in a church building that has drywall, that has lots of things that can break. It's not in like a basketball gym where it's
Right.
concrete walls and hard floors. So, there's people breaking stuff and breaking their arms and legs and the wall and the lights and the glass and the mirror and people belly flopping in the baptismal font and kind of like sometimes it's just a little bit of like too much of the melting pot of what you said, and it turns into anarchy. uh, but we both grew up in youth group, and so what was a youth group game that stuck with you that you played as a student?
Uh, I mean, brought it up. I know it now at least as amoeba, but like the where you stand in a circle and you have to pull each other into the trash can or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that just again, it's just such a. I feel like it's a pretty classic youth group game. You need you don't even need a trash can. You just need
No.
some object that is in the middle that you're trying to pull people into. So like super low budget, low resource, but it's also just a ton of fun. And you don't, because like you think, well, the big kids are going to win, which a lot of times that is what happens. But then like the circle can team up to try to get the bigger kids
Right.
out. You form alliances, it's simple but a lot of fun and physical enough. But like I don't remember anyone ever getting too badly hurt during that game. So
Yeah. And there's that famous video, you've probably seen it online, where the kid's like doing backflips as this like bigger kid is trying to pull him into the trash can. He's just completely diving over it,
yeah,
and everything like that. So yeah, optically wise, it's a fun game to even watch, even if you are out. But it's a good spectator game. For me, I'm gonna go with Condiment Twister. Are you familiar?
yes. That brings back like Delanco camp vibes.
Yeah. So the first time we played it was Justin Perry, I think, played it when I was like in junior high, and he was like a student leader or something. So everyone probably has a Twister board somewhere around. And in your youth group church fridge, there's probably some expired condiments. And so you have your red circle,
Ketchup,
ketchup, obviously, yellow circle,
mustard.
uh, what is it?
There's
Was it
green, right?
green relish? You put
Relish.
relish there.
Uh-huh,
Then the blue was always the kind of wild card. I've seen it done with like blue dyed mayonnaise or like whipped cream or something. But basically, you fill each circle with these condiments, and then you play Twister, and slipping and grossness and hilarity ensues.
yes.
So condiment Twister, add it to your messy game night repertoire.
I think
Uh,
there really is something. I don't know if it's like being a father now or just being 35 and not 25, but like even as you're describing that game that I have seen and participated in and have no memory of any serious injuries, I'm just like, no, like that's a broken arm. Like that's this game should be called Trip to the Emergency Room because someone is absolutely breaking an arm.
left leg broken. But yeah, I mean, that comes with, as a youth pastor, I mean, we'll get into this more because there are so many gross games, and I was never gross game youth pastor.
I
Like,
me neither.
I didn't have the stomach for it. It was always kind of like, if I didn't want to do it, I really didn't want to make other people do it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely story after story after story of that we'll get into more. And then so that was as a student, but what is a game that as a youth pastor that you either came up with or an event that happened that you're proud of this game in your career as a youth pastor?
Oh man. I I mean, again, I keep stealing my answers from earlier in the show, but I guess they come up because they are my favorite. But that costume dodgeball tournament was a lot of fun. And really it was a dodgeball tournament that we did a couple years in a row. The one year it was around Halloween, so it was costume. But even just that dodgeball tournament, I think was one of my prouder achievements that we had several different churches that were involved in that. Um, Trophies, one thing you find out as an adult, spoiler alert to our kids, trophies are way cheaper than you think they are. And so I remember getting a trophy for that, and I'm like, I got like $100 or whatever. What can I spend on this trophy? And I just this huge like goblet of a thing, and I'm like, yes, that's the thing that I want. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially that one year that we did the costume one. I think I was very proud of that
What
moment.
was your costume?
I think I came as a cowboy, and I shaved like I had my beard, but I shaved the chin part of it,
Okay.
so I had everything but like the chin goatee, and then I had like a
Okay.
cowboy shirt and orange like cap gun type thing. But yeah,
Hmm.
yes. Um, how about
What yeah, for me, it's less of me and more of the ingenuity of the students I have. And part of I think the appeal of being a youth pastor is seeing kids grow and um, do crazy things that are crazy enough to be fun, but still like safe enough to be, acceptable, and you're not going to get fired for it.
right?
Um, and so one time, this was before like our kids at my old church and the new church, we do like a kids program called Extravaganza, where it's like our Easter like fun thing. But before that became like a mainstream like kids thing to do, I did youth group Extravaganza. So we had one night at youth group, we had like egg salad sandwiches, deviled eggs. We did an egg toss. I just went to Sam's Club and bought 12 dozen eggs and just had, okay, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
And so for the last game, then it was the old science project of
Mm.
get a whatever you can do to protect this egg, and then I'm going to throw it off the church roof, and whatever team's eggs intact wins. And so this one group of boys, there was Jason DeMuro, Tyler DeMuro, Matt Greger. There was a printer that the church had thrown out, but hadn't made its way to the dumpster yet, or was sitting next to the
Right.
dumpster. And so they're like, "Can we use this?" And I'm like, "Sure." They're just gonna throw it
Right.
away.
Right.
So they put their egg, they wrap it in paper towels or whatever. So they put their egg in this printer, and then I think Mackenzie Gossard has a video of it, and I throw it off the church roof, and they all run up to it real quick, and it was protected, and they're just like, yeah, and it
Yeah.
was their greatest moment of the year. And so that kind of just it would have been easy enough for me to say no, we're not throwing a
Right.
printer off the roof,
Right.
but it was safe enough and fun enough for that. Uh, so this is, the gospel of youth group games. What do you think the gospel that we can glean from youth group games? When does it go right, and how does it go wrong?
Well, I think the going wrong is maybe a little bit easier to answer first. I think it can go wrong in a couple ways, but one is the over competitive nature of some students where things get too serious, and that can either that can turn into physical aggression, or just emotional bad blood that separates. There's it's a fine line of the healthy, you want a healthy competitive nature that
Right.
a lot of times in youth group it pins the guys against the girls or whatever, and that can be good and uh tense,
As
but
long as long as it doesn't carry over into
yes,
okay, the game's over.
right,
Okay, now
right,
we're friends again.
yeah. But a lot of times it does carry over, and so you gotta walk that line a little bit. But I think where it can go right is just the inclusive nature of youth group games. That, and I think part of the reason why and maybe I can speak for both of us, why we weren't the gross youth group games people is because one, I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to ask you to. But secondly, that does like it appeals to a very small number of students, and
Right.
it it it's going to make people no, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't even want to watch somebody do that, so I'm out. And I always wanted to, there's always going to be a kid or two, Serena Garofalo, who doesn't want to be in the game no matter what the game is. They're too cool for it. But then you work on that kid to find the game that they like, and then to
Hmm.
work them into other games. So I think that there is this inclusivity, and then you got people who normally wouldn't work together working together, the too cool for youth group senior and the seventh grader who's all hopped up on Mountain Dew, that never talk, but all of a sudden now they're working
Yeah.
together to find the flashlight to kill the grog or whatever. So
Yeah, I think that's the biggest win, is when you can get those unconnected kids to then be elevated to the champion,
yeah,
to being rallied around, and that can happen in a game where it's okay, we're not friends, we've never talked before, but we're on the red team, and so now you're our bond is closer than anything else. I don't care about my best friend because he's on the blue team right now,
right.
and so that competitive and elevating each other and breaking down those walls can
Yeah,
happen within a
that
game.
I just can just see a specific kid from my youth group, but also just imaginary kid, the little kid who's the last one in dodgeball, and he accidentally makes this amazing catch, and now he's the hero of the night or
Yeah.
whatever. Those are the moments that are yes, this
Mhm.
is this is why we play stupid games before we talk about
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I think that can happen, and some of that is the maturity that I know in my own ministry that I faced, whereas a college student or something didn't necessarily see that or try and put those opportunities in place for those kids. And where it can fail is when you have the kid that is the outcast that didn't want to come, but his parents made him come. And then he gets or she gets put into a situation where then they become the outcast, or they
Right.
become someone that's being laughed at because of the nature of a joke, or the thing, come and sit out, and you sit down on the blanket and you fall through it. Like, this being a youth pastor, youth leader that can discern, okay, the kid that is, fully immersed in the youth group can take a joke. Maybe that's the kid that would be put in that scenario. But these other students, I need to make sure that they're in the scenarios where they're going to be feeling included, feeling a part of the team, and not even more outcast.
Yeah, and I think even tying that in with like the competitive nature of youth group games, I think the youth pastor has to recognize these games aren't for the youth pastor; they're
Mm,
for the kids. And I know we all can get like caught up in a moment and in a game, but to I think a lot of times you do attract students that are like you to your youth ministry, but also recognize that there are going to be plenty of kids who aren't like you there as well. And so you don't I love active games, but we played a lot of four on the couch at youth group because one, it's a classic and it's awesome, but
right.
also because that was for a lot of time that was more of the speed of the game, and certainly in my experience anyway, the girls enjoyed that game a lot more, and they were better at it because they like paid attention.
And
uh,
that's why they enjoyed it.
and that's why they enjoyed it. So yes, we could throw dodgeballs at each other every week, and the boys would think that was fun. But then I'm going to have a group of girls who just sit out and don't do anything. So finding ways to include everybody in the youth games is really that falls on the youth pastor to do that.
Mm-hmm. And the games are so much an extension of your ministry, and especially maybe even the um, evangelic nature of your ministry, that
Mm.
you're bringing these kids in. And a lot of times youth group, and I've heard this said, well, how it's so shallow, all they do is play games at youth group, and that's more important than sharing the gospel. uh, and it's a balance, right? It's not just, we just play games, because you want it to be, especially youth group, and not necessarily like a youth Bible study, but for youth group, for that should be an outreach that kids should want to bring their friends, because it's fun, because they're not going to play those, crazy games where they can run around and be kids in other places. They're not having the space to do that at home. They're not having, the creative nature, or other people around to do these things other places. So it should be an attractive nature of this, an outreach, uh, evangelical things of this is something that students want to come to,
Yeah.
and that, and kind of, not the, like, the Trojan horse,
Yeah.
meme where it's like, here's free pizza, here's crazy games, and oops, and now I'm going to tell you about Jesus Christ. But there is that nature of it that I think we see in the ministry of Jesus Christ too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Jesus, friend of sinners, and also a drunkard and a glutton because he went to a lot of parties. Now, I'm not suggesting you have alcohol at your youth group,
Eh,
but whatever works. No, I think you can buy some on Download Youth Ministry. I
no,
think that no, that's not what
no,
they do. Okay,
no.
never mind, never mind. Strike that from the record. But no, that I think what that implies to me is that Jesus had fun. That Jesus went to places where fun was being had, and he didn't say, "All right, everybody, sit down. Time to circle up. I got to talk to you." Jesus was a part of the fun that was happening. Now, surely Jesus also preached the message of the kingdom of heaven, but he had fun with people, and he humanized others. He was humanized himself, and I'm sure played games growing up and played games with his disciples, and they had inside jokes and they laughed. And I think that the gospel is, we've talked about it plenty on this podcast, is a relational thing, that when we want to um, bring people to Christ, that happens best in relationship and in community. But you need to like lower your guard to effectively be in community and in relationship. And I think games are a great way to do that. That it's a way to bring everybody in. That you can kind of. There's going to be plenty of kids who aren't comfortable walking into a church to hear about Jesus. A
Right.
lot of kids don't want to do that, but I'll go and I'll play a game, and I'll through that I'll make friends, and I'll see, okay, these Christians aren't as weird as I thought, and then the spirit has room to work in that
Hmm.
child. So yeah, I think I think it can be easy for an outsider or even an insider to say, "Oh, all we do is play games." But I think that a wise and discerning person and youth pastor and youth leader can see the purpose that they can play.
Yeah, Jesus, he those that were hungry, he fed them, right? Before he was sharing about the kingdom of heaven. Those that had need for healing, like so often that he met their physical needs, he cares about our physical needs before he's presenting us or alongside with presenting us the good news of himself. And so that opening people up, and so often you need to break down walls before you're going to have the room to share, before you're going to get somebody's trust
Yeah.
to share that they care about it. That if the first thing you do or the only thing that you do is sit down and it's like, okay, what do you believe? Where do you think you're going when you die?
Right.
Like, what do you think the Bible has to say? Why do you like that is a very like wall putting up, but let's run around, get sweaty, build friendships, high five, encourage each other, and be sad when we lose together. And so often then that, okay, now my walls are down, now I'm a little bit tired, I've gotten some of my nervous energy out by running. Okay, now you've maybe earned some of that trust to, okay, this guy seems like he cares about me, that he was encouraging me while we were playing this game, that he was nice and friendly and cared about who I was. Okay, let me listen to what he has to say. And that not just being a one night thing, but multiple nights, months, weeks of, I think youth group games can be such an important tool in reaching students for Christ.
Yeah. I think that cumulative effect of them matters too. Like that you have there are going to be kids who come there are kids who come in and out or who are one and done at your youth group, and yeah, for that night the game you played probably is not going to have a big impact on their life, but that when they come time and time again and you do build inside jokes, you build favorite games, you build strategies, and you're talking about it and you have stories to tell, which I think we have some stories to tell soon. That I think all serves as like a bonding element and a trust building element that is important in the gospel.
I remember two of the students that I had when they came in as like seventh or eighth graders, and and one was Emily Kelly, that was on Gospel According to Taylor Swift, and the other one was Alyssa Zepp, and now Philip,
Philippi, I think.
but like literally the first month I would go up to them and I would say, hi, how you doing? I would ask them, oh, how was school? What do you do? You like doing this? Oh, you like go, oh, you're wearing a Miley Cyrus. So you like going to her concerts? And they would not say a word to me. They would just they would look at each other and they'd like giggle, and then they would never and so, but they, their families were church families and they were committed to youth group, and over the years, and then by it was like, junior, senior year of high school, they weren't super like sportsy type people, but they're like, screaming it and playing it and involved in the games,
Right.
not necessarily because they loved the games, but it was like, the culture of youth group that they wanted to win, they wanted to participate, it became their group, and their ownership over it. And that was an opportunity to then talk to them, and they actually started saying some words back to me after a few years.
Yeah.
Dave, this is the Gospel According to Youth Group game. So would you like to play a game?
Would I like to? Yes.
All right. So we asked on Youth Group Memes for some of your favorite game stories. And so, Dave, I'm going to read you somebody's experience from that, and you're going to respond to the game on a scale of 1 to 10 chubby bunnies.
Okay.
And so you're going to have to tell me the number of chubby bunnies as if that number of marshmallows were in your mouth.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep.
So one chubby bunny is, this is an epic game. 10 chubby bunnies is, boy, that's lame. So we're playing epic game or boy, that's lame.
All right.
Do you understand?
I understand the game.
Okay. All right, where are we going to start? Okay. This is from Grace. One time we played a game where they got 2 people and they dipped a Barbie head in mayonnaise. And the first one to eat all of the mayonnaise off the doll's hair won. Epic game or boy, that's lame?
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. That is, oh man. Okay. 1 is epic, 10 is lame.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna give that 4 chubby bunnies.
Wow, you could talk pretty good with 4 marshmallows in your mouth.
All
right.
4 chubby bunny. Can I tell a mayonnaise story?
Sure. This is everyone's favorite hump day mayonnaise pod.
In 2010, nope, that's not right. Yeah, 2010. I worked at Delenco Camp for the summer, and Rich Dugan and I was the outside supervisor. He was assistant to the outside supervisor, and we would kind of, you all know the type of people that go to summer camp, and there's always like the one guy who it thinks he's like the alpha of the camp, but no one else appreciates that about him. So we would spend, it was actually probably me and Rich, which is why we didn't like this other person. But so each week we would kind of just like read the room and try to see like who's that guy who needs to be knocked down a few pegs. And then like midweek or whatever, we would challenge them to a pudding eating contest. And Rich and I would get vanilla pudding, put whipped cream on it, and we would get one that was mayonnaise, put whipped cream on it. And then we would like go in front of at like dinner or whatever and be like, all right, Dan's gonna challenge us. And we'd be like 1, 2, 3. And like, it was some people like right away they would notice and like spit it out. But then a couple guys would get like 2 to 3 spoonfuls in before they realize what is in their mouth and then like spit it all over the floor. It's always a great humbling exercise. So we should have used Barbie heads though, apparently.
Oh man. All right. This one, they said, please block out my name. So
wait, who said that?
This was
I want to make sure I don't say it.
Once my youth group decided to go to IKEA to play hide and seek. It ended in security escorting us out and quite a few tears. Epic game or boy, that's lame?
I'm going to say epic game. That's an epic game. And so I've one little marshmallow in my mouth.
Okay. All right. This is from Hallelujah House. 'Twas 2018, and I started going to a new youth group. I was starting to get to know people, but it was a small church, so the group was quite cliquish. In hopes of connecting better with my small group, 14-year-old me went on the spring retreat, where I was voluntold for a food-related game. I had to drink an entire paper cup's worth of the most classic youth group smoothie known to a youth, a blended Happy Meal. I can taste each ingredient individually as though it was only yesterday. Coke, strawberry yogurt, hamburger, and fries. This has haunted me into adulthood.
I'm sorry, honey.
That's 10 for you?
Yeah, that's lame. That's lame. The Happy Meal shake it's one thing if like you just have this crazy kid who wants to do it. But yeah, no.
Why? I have a question. Why was this ever a thing? Like, what? Like, this had to be in some youth specialties, like magazine or something at some point.
I don't know.
For so many youth groups across the country to have done this at different points over the last 25 years, like
it's a social contagion.
It was like just like one person was infected and they went to another youth group and they're like, hey, we got to do this thing. And then
it's so awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they did it to me. I'm going to have to do it to somebody else. Yeah. Like somebody said once, it's like all these youth pastors were homeschooled or went to Christian school, so they never had a chance to be in a frat. And so that's why.
Yeah, that checks out.
So many youth groups.
Checks out. It is, I mean, a lot of games like that, they do ring of hazing. Like that's what it is. Yeah. So,
all right, this one's from me.
Okay, welcome me.
So I don't know if I invented this, but I'm going to say I did.
All right.
for the
Lock it up.
sake of arguments. So you've played Ultimate Frisbee before, right?
Yes.
Good youth group game. And leans on the side of for the very athletic people.
Yes.
Right. In college, there was an ultimate club, and they were kind of crazy. They would like eat off their frisbees in the dining hall and things like that. But anyway, so I invented, only me, do not comment on this and say that it was not me, called Ultimate Everything.
Okay.
So the way this game works, you would start out with a frisbee and you would play Ultimate Frisbee. When one team scored, I would then swap out the frisbee for something else. So it could be a phone book. It could be a beach ball. It could be a hula hoop, or it could be a frozen tilapia fish.
Nice. I like it. That's good.
And
is this what the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once is about?
Yes.
It's the origin story of that game.
I can't actually speak to that because my lawyers are still in talks with me being the creator of that, and then be an Oscar.
We don't want to get litigious here.
But anyway, don't use the fish because the scales are prickly, and then kids will complain that they have like shards of fish scales in their fingers.
Whiners.
But anyway, is that epic game or boy that's lame, Dave?
I'm gonna say that is not chubby bunnies. 9 chubby bunnies.
That's not lame.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went the wrong way. I went the wrong way. I forgot the scale, the work.
No. You said what you said.
No, I thought you were mad at me for not going 10, but now I understand I got it wrong. That is 2 chubby bunnies.
Okay. All right. This one is not for the faint at heart, so you might want to skip ahead 30 seconds. This is from Wit. I watched a line of 4 people brush their teeth with the same toothbrush. This was pre-COVID. They shared the toothpaste tube and some water, drinking and spitting it back into the same cup. And then the last guy drank it.
Like,
I still gag sometimes when I brush my teeth.
Why? My wife won't.
Because it's a game. It's fun, Dave.
There have been
we're brushing our teeth. We're spitting in a cup.
Oh man.
It's like 11 chubby.
At least, yeah. And now whoever came up with that game has to eat the 10 marshmallows that were in my mouth. Yeah, like my wife won't even. We have the Oral-B like spinny electric toothbrushes, and now we each have our separate one, but we had like one body with separate heads.
Okay.
Right.
I thought you were saying
no, we didn't share the toothbrush, and so we would have to like switch them back and forth. I'm like, I'm not signing up to share a toothbrush with anyone, my wife included. But like,
obviously,
if it happens by accident, it happens. Like, what? I'm over it. But she was like, this can never happen at all. So to even think then for like that to happen to strangers, like, no way. Basic strangers. I mean, you know.
Well, they came in strangers, but now they formed this bond, and these 4 people today still meet together once a week.
Yeah.
Talk about their oral hygiene.
Yeah.
All right. This game is from Emily. We did a game called Snowball, I think, where everyone took a piece of paper, wrote 3 things about themselves on it, then crumpled up the papers and threw them at each other. Then everyone picked up one paper and talked to each other to find out the person who wrote the paper they had picked up.
Okay, I like this. This is a nice little icebreaker game. I'm gonna say four chubby bunny.
You're like 3 to 10. There's not a lot of difference there, Dave.
I got a big mouth.
Okay. This is the last one. Okay. This is from Russ. Okay, so my youth pastor gave us all a piece of gum in the church bus. After chewing for 20 minutes or so, he passed a water bottle around. First person spit the gum in the bottle and took a sip. Then everyone passed the bottle and did the same thing. Then the last guy had to chug the water and the gum and chew it all. It was horrible. I always threaten my students with that game.
Does that make you better than the youth pastor who came up with it? I submit that it does not.
And that's how COVID-19 started, folks.
Not like that's not a game. That's not a game. It's not a game. It doesn't even rank because it's not a game.
It's a torture device.
Yes, that like the last person. It's not even like and someone had to. It's just as like there's not two teams competing against each other. It is just all of us making this guy drink all of our spit. No,
yeah. So we're coming. This is our official stance at the Gospel According to podcast. We're coming out and we're saying it. Youth pastors, youth leaders, camp directors, just stop.
Just stop.
Just stop. Stop. Don't do it.
Do less.
Do less. Go on Download Youth Ministry. Get some actual games.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. No Download Youth Ministry game has ever been used in a fraternity to haze new members. So
just stop doing it.
And go to Download Youth Ministry. Get your game.
That's right. Oh, thank you for listening. Thank you for those that submitted game requests. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but maybe we'll put some more up on youth group memes and the Gospel According to. Remember to follow us on social media so that you can grab those free 3 games and a chance to win $75 to download Youth Ministry. You can also see some of these other games that we'll be putting up and what you guys think is the Gospel According to youth group games. Follow us on all social media platforms that existed or have ever existed. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok. Ooh. Don't stop. Or follow us on the More Than Dodgeball comment section at TGAT podcast. Thank you for sharing the Gospel According to with your family, your friend, your youth pastor. Make sure that they're listening to it. Make sure your youth are listening to your family, your friends. That one youth leader that is reliving his high school varsity baseball days by trying to throw a dodgeball through a 7th grader's face.
Yes, you can also send us your mailbag questions on social media or by emailing tgatpod@gmail.com. We'd be happy to answer those. Or if you feel like we've overstepped, if you didn't like my rankings of the games and you think I got something wrong, or if you think there is a great youth group game that we've not talked about, then send it our way.
Or if you think the best way to share the gospel is to make a kid drink a blended up Happy Meal, we'll take that critique as well.
I'll listen. So send in those corrections and reproofs or any questions that you might have for us. We'll be happy to answer them on a podcast or just emailing you back if that's all it takes. This podcast could have been an email. Do your part in obeying the Great Commission by helping us spread the gospel according to. One great way to do that is leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. So go and do that. And
we'll give you another shot at winning the $75 if you do that.
Yes, if you leave us a rating review, screenshot that so that it takes a few days to show up. So we want to believe you. So take a screenshot, send that to us so that we can see it. We'll put you in a bonus entry. Don't forget, check out our social media, our Instagram very specifically for the giveaway. The directions on how to enter will be there. The rest of you that don't win, you have 3 free games. So
everybody's a winner.
Everyone's
just
a winner.
Like a good youth group game.
Yes, everybody's a winner. It was a tie.
Everybody wins.
All right. Well, this was your favorite Hump Day podcast. We'll see you next week. This was the Gospel According to Youth Group Game.